So the Zoe project's been on a bit of a go slow while I've been trying to sort out this garden. I've been putting it off for a little while. Anyway, this project's been taking priority. Zoe's had a bit of a back seat, but I have been popping in some little sessions in the garage, trying to move things along. So what follows is what I've managed to do over the last like 4 weeks or so, something like that. So for a clutch, we need this and the pedals that sit behind it. So all the bolts out. Maybe it will go. There we go. Clutch pedal has this main shaft going through it for the brake pedal. So we don't need the brake pedal because this car's got a brake pedal already. So I've hacked this clutch pedal about a bit, chopped the end off it, and yeah, just cut off some bits. I'm still left with these two bolts at the back, or captive nuts at the back. I've drilled through them, and then I've chopped a bit of my steel in half, my box section in half, and welded in a couple of captives. The idea being this will sit on here, obviously. That's the idea anyway. Yeah, so the plan is to mount this up on there, a bit like that, and then we can bolt in the clutch pedal. That's the plan. So I just tacked it in, and I think this is going to work a treat. It's yeah, it sits up there. So I've been raiding my old Elise parts box, and I have got here a replacement. Basically, the clutch hoses on Elise's were absolutely terrible. And you bought these things to replace them. I must have had it in one of the race cars or something that I broke. So we've still got to weld the pedal on, but a success. All right, had a bit more of a mess around with the clutch. So pedal shortened, jobs are good in. I put a little bracket thing. So we now have a clutch that does clutchy things. Of course, the accelerator on this thing is going to be just electronic. It's going to be fly-by-wire, obviously, but we can get rid of this. Just held on by these 3 bolts, and obviously a loom connector. So we'll whip that out of the way because we don't want that. Got it. Here's what I've done. I've taken the Renault Zoe pedal. I've welded on a little bit of bar, put a slot in the top, and made up a bent little bit of bar to make a little bracket. Bit of that, bit of that. You've got a kick down on this being electric, so you get a little bit, and then the kick down gets a bit more. So bolted back in, well, kind of, and pulled off all the bits of trim that have the tunnel. Nothing exciting, just a couple of screws at the top and a couple down the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should get rid of the selector out of the way. So the issue here is we've got a solid base. No great shakes for the Zoe because there ain't nothing below this. But in the world of MGF selectors, what we have is this great big block of metal, which is sort of the counterweight, give you a bit of feel over the selection. So I think what we'll do is use that. So with that chopped off, happy days. So by pure chance, this back bolt and this front bolt both make it into the MG selector. So I'm just going to bolt it in with the two. A couple of bolts in, and a couple of nuts on. And that's feeling nice and sturdy. Left and right, forward and back. That's better. Now we've got the Zoe control. Got a button that doesn't do anything, but whatever. So with the little console thing back in, not quite back in because I've still got the cables coming out underneath. But yeah, we'll have to connect it up at the gearbox side and see what it looks like. It's quite a bit longer than the MGTF, so we will see if the cables reach. It's going to be, yeah, it might be a little bit tight. We'll see. What we have here is the first of the problems. I'm about, I don't know, a foot short of where this is meant to be. That is a problem. So, how the hell are we going to get that? How the hell are we going to get that a foot further back without moving the gear stick to the rear of the car? Problemo. So, solve the gear change problem. I have bought another MGTF gear selector with cables, and the important bit is with cables. So turns out on one of these things, one of the cables goes below the engine and one of the cables loops over the top of the engine, goes downwards. So one for right, left, one for forward, backwards. And the one that goes over the engine is longer than the one at the bottom. Now, the one that goes over the engine, as it happens, is long enough. So I actually connected it up. It does work. It's the lower one that's too short. Good news, right? So I bought another one. We'll nick the longer cable off this, put it on the, replace the short cable with the longer cable, and jobs are good. We've got a gear selector. That's the plan. And then, yeah, stick this back on eBay minus one cable. But there we go. So our new long cable, which is super long, that'll probably go up and over there. There we go. The thin bit. Push that through. Somewhere I've got a little metal clip that holds it in place. And then spin that around, lock that on there. Yeah, so we just need our little retaining clip. I'll go and see if I can find one of those. We got a gearbox, a gear stick. All right, so a little bit of action with the welder, and I put a bar across off the bumper, the bumper reinforcement anyway, and I chopped up the accelerator pedal from the MG to get a bit of this nice strong metal out of it. So I've made some little brackets, welded them on, and yeah, we've now got an exhaust hanging from the back. I did pop the bumper off to do this just to make it a little bit easier. So yeah, looking okay. See what it looks like with the bumper on. So yeah, feels pretty sturdy. So let's chuck the bumper on to see how she lines up. Bumper on one of these things is like 4 screws holding on, 6 screws holding it on. There's a little locating tab on this side, and then it just clips in there. There's a couple of, there's a little screw there and screw at the bottom. That's it. Just put the lights back in. Rear lights on a Zoe, single connector, and basically there is like a metal thing with a ball on the end that you use to screw it in. There's a couple of screws that go up under the wheel arches as well, but so these 4 bits of box we are going to use for the rear mount, which I'm now going to sort out. This is the plan. Little bits of box section, weld onto there, and bolt somewhere. The rear anti-roll bar mounts onto this same point, and then we'll weld this up to here. So that way we can just undo these 4 bolts and the whole engine subframe will come out. So now we can drill and set some bolts in. So on the radiator, this is the MGF radiator. I have a couple of holes. I've already got one filled in here. Which got, these are the rubber bungs out of the MGF, the lower radiator mounts. And we've already got some holes in this cross member, and they basically line up already. So happy days. Maybe there's some sort of standard radiator size thing, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so with those in there, we can basically line those up. There we go. And it's got a couple of mounts at the top. So what I've done, I've got another one of those little rubber things, bent a bit of metal up, there's a hole in it, put a hole through this bumper section, and the idea is that will go on there, and then, and then, and then, okay, something along those lines. And there we go, radiator and fan mounted in. So happy days. Next job, I would like to try and get this little fuel tank that I've got from China to sit in this little bay in here. Right, a bit of appalling welding, and we've got this, and basically this will sit on top, and then it'll bridge across where the motor used to be. That's the plan. All right, so failed Amazon delivery. So I've not got a reducer that goes from a AN10 fitting to AN6. I've got loads of AN6 bits. I have also got a load of AN10 though. So I have managed to use one of the AN10 hoses, and we've got it just onto the end of this Bosch inline pump. This pump was something I've had lying around for ages. I used to use it on my old Elise race car that used to run like a Rover T-Series engine, so it needed a little bit more oomph than the standard in-tank. So the pipe has come with a bit of tape on it. You basically just wrap a bit of masking tape around it to cut it. You just chop it with a hacksaw. So these fittings, basically, you've got a little hose intake there. You can unscrew this. It's got a really fine thread on it and just a taper at the end. So the idea is we put the hose into this end. It's got like a little bit of retainer in there, and then we screw this in, and that will go inside the tube, push it open and trap all the thing, make a good seal. So first job, you just need to lose a bit of this stuff off the end. They stick a load of it on and just sort of twist this on, hopefully. You basically got to see the pipe come up, so you can see the inside of the pipe inside of there, which I can just about do on this. And basically this is going to go inside, and we'll just do this up. Try not to cross thread it, obviously. So these are 90mm spanners work. They come, the fittings, because the fittings are quite expensive, they usually come with a little alloy spanner that doesn't mark up your little anodized alloy fittings, but whatever. Long since lost that. And there we go. One pipe end fitting. So with that now, that will go on here. Yeah, I do need to put a return line on this thing. So that will go into, well, either of these. This thing comes with twin takeoffs, twin outlets. This little tank's for like drift stuff and things like that. So it's only a couple of gallons, so not too much in there. I think you get about 10 litres in it or something like that. But we'll just blank off the two fittings we don't need, and yeah, away we go. So tank's got to come up from underneath. Can't get it through this side, so okay. Yeah. As you can see under here, how I'm mounting this. We can put a bolt through what used to be the old bottom motor mount. Okay, we got another bolt that's going to go at the front of the tank, through here. That'll hold the front section down. Other than that, looking good, I reckon. So there we go, all mounted in. Pretty happy with that. It's not going anywhere anytime soon anyway. Right, so down here our pump, and then we've got to run our hoses down here all the way to the back of the car to the engine. So I've got it all wired up, but unfortunately my little Bosch pump has been sitting for so long it's knacked. So I have got myself an finest Amazon 20 quid inline pool fuel pump. So let's see if this one's any good. So we've got the fuel lines hooked up going to the front of the car just here. One going through a filter. I've got the earth from the fuel pump just going to a little earth post just there. And then at the moment, we've got the fuel pump turning on with this little jobby. There we go. I'm just going to run the fuel pump off a switch inside, just in case anything goes a little haywire. I can just flick and no more fuel pump, no more fuel. Car will stop. So no fuel pump. Fuel pump. Sounds better. Going on down here. Definite leakage. All right, it was just being me being nice. I hadn't tightened up the little connector down the little bolt on the back of there. What's going on there then? Could it be my fuel pump is chucking in so much fuel that things are getting too exciting? We've got a pressure regulator, right? So it should just be throwing back anything that's too high pressure. It's a mechanical throttle, so it's not letting air in. All I can suggest is we're putting too much fuel in. But so all I can think is I've got one here and one here, both letting in lots of air, lots of fuel, rum. So let's blank off these chaps, see if that makes any odds. Bit of fuel line with a bolt in the end. The breather, that's the takeoff. That would usually run to the brake master cylinder, but is now capped. And finally that one in the end. Let's see if that makes any difference. What we have there is an idling K series. Come on. Oh yeah. Got to try the clutch. Can I get it in gear? Yeah. Second. You crunch into third. Whoa. Now you need to adjust that a little bit. Awesomeness. So I've got no coolant in it, and obviously it's going to get hot quite quick. So I think that's the next job. Let's get some coolant in it. So I just did the little bleed at the front, and yeah, this hose is decidedly cold. That one feels decidedly hot and empty. I've got air in there, I think. While I was twatting around with this cooling system, it just occurred to me. Aha. Yes. The laser cooling system vacuum and purge kit. Oh. So this cooling system's been a complete failure. I cannot for the life of me get hot water flowing through the radiator. If I keep it going till it's cooking, it'll slowly sort of work its way around, but it's not pushing around. So there's a couple of, oh man, ooh, look at what's going on here. Hello. We have we have a little bit of something going on. I wonder what that is. Anyway, whatever. Let's deal with one thing at a time. So, this pipe here runs underneath the engine with the coolant in it, and then goes into the thermostat, which is down there, in that little housing there, plastic housing there. Right, so kettle's on. Here's our thermostat. So I'm just going to stick some boiling water into my mug. Just finished my tea, and yeah, we'll see if this thing does anything. So we'll put it back in, but just without all the gubbins inside. So tiny bit of modification. Now our thermostat looks like this, so no more thermostat. So we'll get this back in. Some juice. Out of the way, Bramble. Bonk, 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 bonk. Right, so fuel pump, action, ignition. So just while this thing's warming up, what coming out of that? Absolutely very little coming out of this one. I wonder if our valve, it's a valve system, I wonder if this one's closed. I'm going to just try pop it off, see if I can adjust it. All right, now we're talking. So yes, it was stuck in the closed position. It's now in the open position. Yes, we have a hot radiator. All right, a little bit of good news here. We've got 14 volts going to the battery, so the alternator is good and doing its thing. So hot radiator, cooling system sorted. So that only leaves the rear brake connections left to do. So I butchered the Renault brake system to remove the rear axle, and like an idiot, and I butchered the MGF rear axle brake system when taking that off. So yeah, but hopefully I should be able to make them talk together. Let's see what happens. We've got a handbrake. We don't have yet is a brake pedal, so nothing going on with that yet because the rears are still chopped. So yeah, so first job is tidy up the end of the hose that I butchered when I was removing the... I've got this little kit for doing brake lines, right?
Bonjour.
Oui.
Le dinner.
Le dinner.
I don't know dinner in French. I just know le dinner.
Good.
Come on.
The private education has worked well. So the idea is we've now got this little chap, and I don't know whether you can see in there, but it narrows down, and basically the little male one goes into there and traps the pipe, squeezes it into the end of this thing here, and away you go. And then you've got the same on this side, so you can join two brake pipes together. All right, excitement time. A thing of beauty has just landed through the post. Look at those bad boys. Oh yes. So idea is they will go onto here. So that's the PCD, so the space between these things is like 98.5 or something like that, because it's an MG. And then over here we have a Renault wheel, which is 100 PCD. Nice. Much more stock the back end. So the only interesting bit is now how centered, because it's a much bigger tire. So basically I am well chuffed with those, just a job. So a little tidy up underneath, got everything tucked away, cable tie action anyway for the time being, and yeah, hopefully we can now drop her down onto the ground. Well, it moved. with my longer shift cable. It's not pushing back enough, so it's not going into reverse or fourth gear. Can get second for some reason, but whatever. I think I've got a running, driving, stopping, possibly, petrol powered Renault Zoe. Excellent. So I'm going to call it for now. Next video, we'll get this thing out of the garage. Well, just the gear shift a bit first. Get it out of the garage and see what it does or doesn't do, as the case may be. Thanks for watching, and yeah, more to come soon. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more.